Today's video we're going to talk about is less ad groups and campaigns better in Google Ads? The real answer that nobody talks about in terms of why more is better than less on a general overall basis. In other words, you'll make a lot more money with more versus less. This defies what most people online are going to tell you about how to run a Google Ads account. And I'm going to tell you also with some hard numbers here as to how much of a difference this makes when you actually understand more is better and utilize this advice to your own advantage with the HVAC company case study that I'm going to share with you on today's video. So I will go through what those numbers are, as well as, of course, the methodology I have at our firm that where we are able to guarantee results for our clients and how we're actually doing that using a more is better approach versus less is better approach. So with that said, the reason people normally say you need less ad groups and campaigns is the following, just to state what the naysayers are saying up front, and so I can address those things to you head on. Number one, Google favors certain ad groups. If you have an ad group and you have, of course, different keywords in there, what Google is going to tend to do is put most of your spend on certain keywords within that ad group. It's going to prefer certain ones. Even within that, if you have multiple ad groups in a campaign, they'll also kind of prefer to put most of the spend in some of the ad groups. People will say this and they'll say, therefore, there's no point in having a bunch of ad groups and a bunch of keywords within the ad group because it's going to prefer to run only a select amount anyway. And so there's no point in doing it. My point is, of course, a deliberate reason to have more than one keyword in an ad group itself occasionally, but more so, more than one ad group in a campaign. And because that reason is very valid, that is, you're going to get more click-through rate on your campaigns and more conversion rate on your campaigns. That's the reason why you do it. And the fact that certain ad groups don't get clicked is irrelevant because overall, your click-through rate and conversion rates are going to be better. So the pros outweigh the cons here, which the con is simply, you're spreading your data out across more things in your account, which makes it harder to get a high quality score and so forth. But what you'll sacrifice in the meantime, lower click-through rates, lower conversion rates, by just having less for the system to use, it's counterproductive to your overall goal of making more money from your ad account. And I'll explain a little bit more why that is here. But the other reason why people will say use less ad groups and campaigns is you don't have enough budget to run all your campaigns. So, Corey, I audited your account and people or stuff as a part of working with clients, they'll bring in an outside consultant. You got all these campaigns. You hardly get any clicks on these other campaigns. Why do you have them? Or, a client will say this. Again, it's irrelevant because ultimately, if my click-through rate over all the campaigns is higher than what your campaigns cumulatively are, it doesn't matter how many campaigns I have. That's totally irrelevant. At the end of the day, we're getting more click-through rate on everything, and therefore more clicks out of our market, and that's really what we should be going for. So this is the fact that I have a campaign that only gets 3 clicks a month is totally a red herring. It's not to be paid attention to. It's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things of us actually trying to make more money from our account, not getting into semantics and just overcomplicating things. And of course, the other reason why people say you need less ad groups and campaigns is because broad match keywords make it irrelevant. So nowadays, I use single keyword ad group campaigns at our firm, of which, you have just one keyword in each ad group. Therefore, you can have laser targeted ad copy and landing pages for each keyword you're targeting, or decide the perfect page on your site to send people to by keyword. People say this doesn't work anymore because they drink Google's Kool-Aid and they say broad match is better. To use broad match keywords instead of with single keyword ad group campaigns running exact match or phrase match. You don't need all this anymore. You just give Google a few keywords in broad match, let the algorithm understand who you want to actually advertise to just based upon the meaning of those few keywords, and they'll take care of everything else. And that's a bunch of baloney because at the end of the day, I don't care how smart the algorithm is, it can't make up for the user wanting a relevant ad to what they typed in. If they're looking for brown shoes, they don't want to see an ad that says shoes for sale. This is going to be true in 3025 as it is relevant in today's environment. This is not going to change. Ads that are relevant to people, what people are initially seeking out and is important to them, will get higher click-through rates. Therefore, broad match keywords are a joke when you're comparing it to the results that you can get with exact and phrase match and single keyword ad group setups, or at the very, very least, what they call stag setups or single keyword ad group setups are still better, and I use those, and that's what you want to use as well. For that matter, the best CTR you'll get with your account, given that all of the money that you're going to make in your market is predicated on two things: click-through rate and conversion rate. The higher you get those two things, the more money you make from Google Ads. The best CTR you'll ever get, 99% of the time, comes from more ad groups, not less, because you can have tighter matching ad copy to each keyword that you're targeting. Ultimately, since Google does favor certain ad groups, this is why you use more campaigns. So, as per the argument number one here on my whiteboard, Google favors certain ad groups, therefore you should have a bunch of ad groups. Well, that just simply means you should have more campaigns, because then you can set a certain budget per campaign, therefore a certain budget per ad group, and that takes care of that issue completely. Even though a campaign spends little, that's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things as compared to the overall ROAS that you're getting in the account. If I have 500 campaigns and they all get clicked once a month, but my ROAS is 500% and yours is 300% with your one campaign, I win still at the end of the day. Money, we're here to make money. We're not here to play games, mess around. My campaigns that target people on individualized levels so that I can have an ad group that targets a specific use case, brown shoes versus shoes for sale, and sending people as a result of that to the exact brown shoe page on my website, I'm going to get better, not only click-through rates in that scenario, but conversion rates. Therefore, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Too many campaigns can, in fact, spread your spend out too much, but you can fix that not with the ad groups or campaigns or number of ad groups and campaigns you have, but with the number of keywords you have. So in other words, instead of cutting back on ad groups or campaigns, cut back on the number of keywords you have, so that if you do have, let's say, $10 a day to spend on your account as a whole, because you're just getting started, let's say, you don't want to cut back the ad groups or campaigns necessarily. Where you cut back is the keywords. Target 3 or 4 keywords. And along with that, have those 3 or 4 keywords, have 3 or 4 ad groups with 3 or 4, as a result of that, ads and landing pages for each of those keywords. The user, again, has a customized experience depending on what they're typing in, because that'll get you the highest click-through rates and conversion rates at the end of the day. Because you only have $10 a day, you're going to have one ad group with the 4 keywords in that same ad group. I'm sorry, you're just not going to get the click-through rate and conversion rates I do with the 4 different ad groups for the 4 different keywords. I've been doing this a long, long time. In fact, I tease people that still say that that's not the way to do it, where I say, hey, I'll bet you $10,000 that I can set up a campaign with a single new keyword ad group setup, and it'll beat your campaign with one ad group and all your keywords in there every time. And I'm still, to this day, saying that same thing. If you want to bet me, it's easy money for me. I'm willing to make that bet for anybody who wants to do this. For the most part, people just are doing this because they trust what Google says inherently, automatically. But more so, I'm going to be very cynical here and to say, people don't want to put work in. They just want to target a few keywords, be done with it. They want to set up their campaign for their clients, a little bit of time, and then they're done. It's hard to find the few hundred different ways that people search for your product or service and then write unique ads for all of them and all the landing pages for them. It's a lot of work. People don't want to do all that work or admit they have to do all that work because the little amount of money that they charge clients for their time, there's no payoff for them. So I can't blame them there for why they're doing it. You can't dispute, though, that you're going to get better results the other way around. So it's just a matter of, what is it worth? The work, what you stand to gain is huge, and no company ought to be paying somebody, at least if you're asking me, which it should be obvious, somebody to set up broad match keywords instead of single keyword ad group campaigns, because at the end of the day, that doesn't get the same results. And when you only pay a little bit of money to get a little bit of the results, that's stupid. Why not pay all the money to get all the results at the end of the day? For that matter, I've got a case study here I wanted to go over. Now, before I get into that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you should. I got the best information on how to make money with ads that you're going to find online. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I've got a great blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog with the step-by-step information on how to make money from ads, with everything documented there for myself on how to make money guaranteed way that the way that we are actually guarantee results for clients that are firm. For that matter, if you have any individualized questions about what I just talked about or in general, marketing questions, you can always leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. Beyond that, you can also reach me through the Discord group link in the video description, as well as through my site at guaranteedppc.com. Well, the way that I'm able to bring you the data on this channel, it's because I work with clients. That's my regular day job that I spend 40 hours a week doing anyway, and of which I do done-for-you services where we guarantee clients results, where you're not paying for any results until you get those results. We give you a minimum lift in your profitability up front before the management fee kicks in. If you're interested in that, by the way, you can reach out to me through my site for that, and I can hook you up with that and a 8-quarter projection of what your results would be under my management, doing the strategy for you and then rolling out all the campaigns for you through our firm. On top of that, I also do coaching and or consulting on the side. I work with a lot of agency owners and regular companies alike for that. And then also I'd sell templates. If you're in a market that I've already been in before, I can sell you the winning ads, landing pages, all of it that work for your niche market. You take the results then as a result that we've got in one city or country that you're not in, apply it to your market and get the same results we did with none of the hassle, none of the time, none of the money that it took for us to figure out how to get results like that in your market. So, and I've been in 100+ different niche markets. So the chances are quite high we've already got the results that you're looking for. You should at least ask and see if we got the results in your market and what results we got, because you can be saving yourself a lot of time getting those results for yourself just by applying the template to your market. Now, going back to what I was saying here before, but in regards to the case study, we have an HVAC company itself. Okay, so what I've got here is the difference between a client who is using the typical broad match keyword strategy, some phrase match keywords to boot, mostly phrase match keywords, some broad match keywords, or an HVAC company that's trying to get people to hire them. The last consultant set this up for them, hire them for air conditioning, repair services, and installation services. What I got here on this small table is difference between the cost per qualified lead we had with that setup versus the after setup where I'm running pure exact match, pure single keyword ad group campaigns. Despite in contradiction to what most gurus out there are saying, which less is, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ad groups. In fact, it's thousands, because I take my local campaign and I break it out one campaign for each part of the city that we're targeting. So if they're in a suburb, they get an ad that says the suburb name on it and a landing page that says the suburb name on it. With that said, we have thousands of ad groups at the end of the day, hundreds within just each campaign, because we find not just the few keywords that work for this space, but all the keywords that work in this space so that we can target them each individually with a unique ad copy that exactly matches each keyword. Thereof, I got the cost per qualified lead we got with those set of campaigns. And typically when I set up campaigns for a new client, we're going to set everything up in new campaigns. I will run them side by side with the old ones. And what I have here is therefore, along with this, the results that we got for in terms of cost per qualified lead with my campaigns with the exact match single keyword ad group setup and the old campaigns that just use the typical few ad groups within a single campaign and phrase match mostly keywords. Cost per qualified lead. Clients getting on the old campaigns with the regular phrase match is $435 per cost per qualified. With our campaigns, we got it down to $205 cost per qualified lead. Not only that, the actual number of conversions we got before on the before campaigns was 70 a month, and we were up to 299 a month with the after campaigns after 24 months of breaking in our new campaign. So this is not going to work well for you right away. And to the defense, to the guys who are to say less is more and less ad groups is better, it does take longer to get results with single keyword ad group campaigns than it does with other campaigns where you're not using that particular strategy. You're taking a few keywords in broad match, putting them in one campaign, and that's it. You'll get, with the same budget, more results with the few keywords in broad match because you'll get a lot more spend on those few keywords than my campaign that has 150 keywords in it, where we're targeting every variant individually like that. And therefore it takes longer to get the quality scores up and therefore to get time to get the cost per click down as a result. But what it does eventually kick in, where we finally, Google's algorithm sees like this whole campaign, wow, it's amazing compared to the other campaign. It really, really kicks in. And that it can take 12 to 24 months before the getting gets really, really good. Before then, it's not that hot. I'm looking more long-term picture here. I don't care what I get 3 months from now or 6 months from now. I'm looking at what I'm going to get 24 months from now, which is 3 times or more greater than what I'm going to get without using this single keyword ad group setup. As you can see here, our leads are 4 times as great as we had before because our click-through rates triple what it was before. Also, Google's going to raise our impression share because our ads get higher click-through rates, so we're going to get more impression share, therefore more conversions. Also, our conversion rates are going to be better because we can send people to a more qualified, more tailored landing page that's tighter to the keyword, because when that headline and the landing page matches closely what they typed in, there's generally a 40% higher conversion rate that goes along with that. And then going along with everything I just said there, of course, your cost per qualified lead is going to come down to, assuming you don't want it, then you could just go for more leads, but we wanted to get our cost per qualified down as well and closer to the $200 range and then scale it $200 cost per qualified. That cost per qualified in and itself is going to come down though if you want it because the cost per click comes down. For the same keyword, so you can go to Google Keyword Planner and see your keyword. There's a high end and a low end of the range for each keyword. The high end of the range is typically 5 to 10 times more expensive than the low range is. If you want to pay the low end of the range, you got to have click-through rates and conversion rates better than your competition. That's also advertising. Well, the easiest way to do that is with single keyword ad group setups. It's just the easy way to do it. You can sit there and scratch your head and try to figure out the most compelling hook for your ad to make the click-through rate better than your competition, or just use single keyword ad group setups like we do, and you don't even have to really know that much. It's not like you have to get lucky. Oh, I found the perfect hook. No, you just did the formula that nobody else is willing to do and that the user basically wants and likes most of the time pretty well. Not to say you shouldn't figure out great hooks for your ad, but at least start from a point that by default, it's going to get you 2 to 3x higher click-through rates than you're going to get otherwise. So I know a lot of people will just disagree with this and still not going to do it. That's fine. Less competition for me. But ultimately, less ad groups is not better. It's just not. It does stretch out the time to get a certain amount of result for your business, having more ad groups as the downside, but the results on the upside are much, much greater as I've talked about. Do you want quick results, short-term wins, or do you want massive wins on the back end? And for that matter, you may start out with a broad match keyword if you're really stuck in the middle, make money on that, and then diversify into single keyword ad group campaigns later on, which a lot of our clients that I coach do exactly that. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.